Has it been 2 years already? How time goes by. The genre of film noir arose in the early 20th century due to its minimalistic style and the intrigue around its darker themes of grey morality, cynicism, and futility of existence. French cinema in particular took a dark turn during that time period due to the effects of the German occupation during the war. Good thing countries don't go around launching military invasions of foreign nations anymore. We've moved past all that ugliness. At the risk of sounding like a snob, one of my favorite films of all time is Casablanca. Not just because it's old, not just because it's famous, but because Casablanca is good, actually. The story, the actors, the cinematography, it stood the test of time for a reason. However, when my mental health is taking a nosedive, although rock bottom is pretty much my baseline these days, I find myself returning to this film in particular, and I've never really understood why. It's not a particularly uplifting movie. I've never been the type to listen to sad music when I'm upset. My go-to is to distract myself until I can repress the bad feelings. You know, the healthy thing to do. Maybe it's because this movie isn't about being happy. Maybe it's because, at least to me, it's about being called to action. Rick Blaine is a bitter, selfish asshole who sticks his neck out for no one. Despite having a past of being someone who helps those in need, they mention it several times throughout the film, the Rick we see in the film is only interested in helping himself, and he blames this on Ilsa for breaking his heart. For anyone who knows their history, the whole film is a not-so-subtle metaphor for World War II, and Rick is a symbol of America itself. Before the bombing of Pearl Harbor, America refused to take sides with the Allies or the Axis powers. Similarly, Rick refuses to pledge allegiance with either Vichy or Free France.
Rick is completely neutral about everything.
The conflict simply doesn't concern him, and in fact, it's more profitable for him to play for neither team. The position of the United States was staunchly isolationist, and I don't think that it's a coincidence that the term is name-dropped in the film.
Rick, when will you realize that in this world today, isolationism is no longer a practical policy?
It's a plea for America to take up arms against the Axis powers. Eventually, Rick does realize that fighting for Free France is the right thing to do, and that the problems of
three little people don't amount to a hill of beans in this crazy world.
He helps Ilsa and her husband escape, his first act of selflessness in a long time. Renault, who had previously been a Nazi collaborator, switches side and joins Rick's cause as well. Symbolism smashed, start of a beautiful friendship. The end. The whole film is a beautiful exploration of courage versus cowardice, selfishness versus selflessness. But what it also does beautifully is portray the bravery of people whose lives are torn apart by warfare. Casablanca is a port where refugees fleeing Europe gather in hopes to escape to America. French, German, Bulgarian, you name it. There's this blink and you'll miss it scene where an elderly German couple are talking about their plans to immigrate to America, and they seem so hopeful and optimistic. They mention to the waiter how they're practicing their English so they'll sound just like Americans. And then...
What much? 10 watts. Such much?
You will get along beautifully in America.
There's also a subplot about a young couple trying to buy passage out of Casablanca. It's pretty heavily implied that the woman was willing to let Renault solicit sex from her in exchange for their visas. Taking pity on them, Rick helps the husband win at roulette so they'll have the money to afford their plane tickets, hinting at the sense of compassion Rick hides behind his apathetic facade.
As I suspected, you're a rank sentimentalist.
But my favorite scene has always been this one. German soldiers have hijacked Sam's piano to loudly sing Die Wacht am Rhein, a war song about the fearsomeness of the German army, much to the bar's annoyance. In retaliation, Laszlo urges the house band to play La Marseillaise, the French national anthem. The patrons fervently join in with the song, the sheer volume of their voices drowning out the Germans. The Nazis try to sing louder, but finally they're forced to give up. This single symbolic display of defiance unsettles the German major so much that he demands that Rix be shut down immediately. Because that's what fascists, what bullies, do. They quash any show of resistance in its tracks, because if they don't, then it might inspire others to side against them. Because bullies know deep down that there's a lot more of us than there are of them. To quote another film about standing up to the oppressor, ants don't serve grasshoppers. It's you who need us. We're a lot stronger than you say we are. And you know it. These past 2 years, well, really these past 5 or 6 years, have been full of tragedy and horror and darkness. Sometimes it feels like the battle's already lost before it's even over. These days, hope often seems like it's abandoned the world altogether. But with every injustice wrought, I see people who keep rising up against them, no matter how many times we're knocked down. And if hope hasn't abandoned these people, then it hasn't abandoned me either. I hope that it's still with you, because together, we are strong.
Welcome back to the fight. This time I know our side will win.